Morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on wherever you're watching from. Thank you for joining this live. God bless you. Mm, louder. Okay. Thank you. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, from wherever you're watching. Thank you for joining this live and another episode of Monday Night Live sessions. Um, Please, if you are online, just comment with your name and the location where you are connecting from. I want to acknowledge your presence on the live. So let me know your name and where you are connecting from. I think it's better. Okay. Yeah. Your name and where you are connecting from. Also, please help me share the link to this live on your WhatsApp status, your story, or you have people on your contact list that you feel should be part of this live. Please help me share the link to them so they can be part of it. Yeah. Okay. Forgive me. I'm trying to just make sure it's perfect. Okay. So, welcome to episode 8 of the Monday Night Live sessions. And tonight we are looking at the dynamics of forgiveness. When we say dynamics, we're talking about how something works, right? We're looking at how forgiveness works. In case you're meeting me for the first time, my name is Sophia Kingsley. I am passionate about growth, I'm passionate about transformation, and I love to help people achieve growth and transformation in their own personal lives. What I'm doing for myself, I want to help others to achieve those same things, and we need to grow so that we can fulfill our purpose in life, so that we can thrive in our relationships, so that we can excel in ministry, in business. We need growth. Growth is part of life. There's this saying that if we stop growing, you start dying. You stop growing, you start dying. So we don't want to die. So we must constantly improve on ourselves. We must constantly grow. Fatima, Nawab, hi. Thank you for joining this live. I don't know. I'm still adjusting. Okay, I hope this brightness is okay. Let's go. All right. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. When you subscribe to my channel, you are helping me grow. You are helping my channel grow. When I say I'm passionate about growth, I want everyone around me and everything around me to grow. So one of the things I must grow is my YouTube channel. So please help me subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. All right. Okay. Now, for some time we've been looking at the subject of forgiveness. Oh, thank you, Fatima. Thank you for subscribing. We've been looking at the subject of forgiveness. We began in episode 6 where we talked about what forgiveness is, generally speaking, what is forgiveness, and then we looked at forgiveness as a Christian, as a child of God. What does forgiveness mean, right? Then we also looked at why forgiveness is hard. Why is it difficult? We looked at that. We also looked at a proof, to know that yes, I have forgiven a person, a place in your mind that you reach and you know that yes, for me to achieve this, then it shows that I have forgiven somebody. We talked about that in episode 6. And then in episode 7, that was last week, we talked about apology, about how a lot of us are waiting for apology before we forgive. How a lot of us are struggling with unforgiveness because the offender did not come to apologize. And we talked about how apologies can heal some people who are offended, why for some people apologies will not heal them. Yeah. And then we also talked about the desire for revenge, vengeance. Why does God say we should not take vengeance? Why? We looked at that. So I discovered that a lot of times when I'm doing recap of previous episodes, I take too much time on that. Um, Going forward, I will not be doing that kind of broad recap. So if you haven't watched episode 6 and 7 on forgiveness to know how we arrived at the things I'll be saying tonight, please go and watch it. Yes, because I discovered that if I have maybe 30, 40 minutes to be here, I end up using 10, 15 minutes to do a recap. That's not helping. So, like I said, I want to grow. And growth requires that you look at areas where you are not doing well and then improve. So, that is one area I was not doing well. I want to do better. Go and watch 6 and 7 if you haven't, because I'm not going to be doing that broad recap. All right. So the dynamics of forgiveness. We said dynamics means the workings of forgiveness. The how, the operations. How does it work? And there's this saying that it's not by cho, it's not by talking. Show us the workings. Exactly. So the workings of forgiveness. And like I mentioned in the very first episode, where I talked about how a lot of people, talk about forgiveness, how a lot of people can preach about it, but then they are not actually living it, they are not practicing it. Right? One thing I have come to realize in our generation is that we romanticize a lot of ideas. We Let me explain what I mean by romanticize. Right? Take for instance the way I talk about myself and say, oh, I'm passionate about growth. I can be this person that, I talk about growth, I preach about growth, right? On my social media is branded, heavily talking about growth. Everything around me, growth, growth, growth. Every time I open my mouth, growth, growth, growth. But in reality, I am not growing. We just like the idea of something. We farms it, we vibe to it, but the reality, that content is not there. That's what it means. We just romanticize certain things. So a lot of people romanticize the idea of forgiveness. Just because you preach about something doesn't mean that you are free from it. There are some people, they preach about pride. It doesn't make you humble because you're preaching about pride until you actually start working in humility. That's what I mean. So a lot of times people just talk about forgiveness, whereas if you look closely into their hearts, they have unforgiveness there. So anyway, in the course of talking about the dynamics of forgiveness, we're going to be looking at different things. We're going to be looking at certain misconceptions. That's things that people misunderstand about forgiveness, right? We're going to be looking at these misconceptions and yeah, what forgiveness is, what forgiveness is not. We're going to be looking at different things about it, the dynamics, how to forgive practically. I'm somebody that likes practical things. I like practicals. Yes, I don't just want to cho theory. This is how to do it. This is how to do it. I like practicals. When you say this is how, show me how, and let it work. So we're going to be looking at how to forgive practically, and that is what I'm going to be beginning with. And in the course of talking about this, like I said, we're going to be looking at misconceptions, the wrong ideas that people have about forgiveness. Now, from the last episode, I said something when I was rounding up. I said unforgiveness is a pain that doesn't have where to go. In fact, unforgiveness is a pain that doesn't want to go anywhere. It doesn't want to go anywhere. It wants to stay with you. Yeah. Unforgiveness wants to stay with you. It just wants to remain with you. It doesn't want to leave. That's why you struggle with it so much. It wants to stay with you. But you are the one who will decide. You are the one who will choose to chase it out. Especially if you're a child of God. You already know that we are commanded to forgive so that we will also be forgiven, right? And then there is nobody that will have unforgiveness in their hearts and then will be thinking about making heaven. It's not possible. Apart from all of these religious reasons, in quotes, even you as a person, if you are someone who you have unforgiveness you lose your peace of mind. There's a way it stresses you mentally, emotionally. It's not something that is oh, thank you. Sending love and peace from Hawaii. Hawaii. Oh, thank you so much. Sing. I'm sorry, I may not pronounce the name correctly, but thank you so much. So, like I said, when you are having unforgiveness, it stresses your mental health, it stresses your emotions, it stresses your mind. You just see this person that hurts you, and you've been having a good day before then, but immediately you see them, oh, your day is ruined. You go to an event, you're having a good time. As they walk in, you just want to leave that place. So how to be free from that? That's what we want to look at. How to forgive practically. Now, the number one thing I'm going to say is that in trying to overcome unforgiveness, or in trying to achieve forgiveness, in trying to forgive, mm, you must understand that you are doing something that is divine. You know that saying where people said, to err is human, to forgive is divine. It's not just a cliche, it's the truth. You are doing something that is not human to do. That is why it's hard. The Bible talks about, the flesh and the spirit always at war against each other. Forgiveness is not a human thing to do. The way we are wired as human beings, it an eye for an eye. Our There's this justice system. Somebody hurt you, you hurt them back. That's what the world is founded on. The world is founded on action, reaction, cause and consequence, that kind of thing. So when you are um, attempting to not do something you are wired to do, it's going to be hard. So that is you must understand that you are about to do something divine. You're about to do something that is not really a human thing to do, right? So have that in mind. Number one thing, how do I forgive practically? Number one, take some time to acknowledge the hurt. Take some time to acknowledge the hurt. What I mean is, feel it. That pain, that you got from the hurt that they caused you, from the offense, feel it. Take your time and feel it. A lot of people, they deny pain. A lot of people, they want to excuse the pain, they want to explain the pain away. No, take your time, acknowledge it. I was hurt, I was embarrassed, I was abused. Take the time, acknowledge that pain, feel the pain. If you want to cry, cry. You don't want to talk to that person for a while, you don't want to see them for a while, express the pain. Because bottling it up is doing more harm than good. So take some time to feel the pain. Now I'm going to be talking about a misconception under this point. Forgiveness does not mean that you deny pain or that you excuse pain. All right, that's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is actually is not denying that it did not happen. It happened. But when you forgive, you are intentionally choosing not to allow the memory to hurt you again. Even if when that memory resurfaces, it brings pain along with it. You intentionally choose not to allow that pain have a grip on you. That's what forgiveness is. All right, so it's not excusing the pain, it's not denying the pain. You're not just going to suddenly develop amnesia. You're not just going to suddenly forget that somebody hurt you. No, that's not going to happen. So um take some time, feel the pain, express it. You want to cry, cry. In fact, it's healthy, it's healing to cry. All this, be a man, bottle it. Yes, you don't want to cry in public. That's fine. But in your secret place, you can cry because it will help you. All right. I always say tears are liquid emotions. Tears are liquid emotions. All right. So if you need to cry, cry. Don't hold, don't hold it and cry if you need to. All right. Take some time to acknowledge the pain. That's the first step. Number two, decide that you are going to forgive. Now, when we talk about decisions are things that we do either based on our emotions or without our emotions. There are certain decisions that we make based on how we are feeling. All right. But then there are also decisions we take even when we are not feeling anything. You see, forgiveness. Forgiveness is one decision you're going to make outside of your feelings. You are going to take that action, and then it is your feelings that will catch up later. Yes, because it's not in that same moment that you say, okay, I want to forgive. It's not in that same very moment that you suddenly feel light, that you suddenly feel okay, that you suddenly feel at peace. No, you decide first, I want to forgive. I'm going to forgive. All right. And then don't wait for your feelings. You feel that, oh yeah, you feel it first. Don't wait to feel it first. Decide, and then your feelings will catch up. Now, this is why we talked about the last episode, which happens to be a misconception of forgiveness. Forgiveness is not dependent on apology. A lot of people are waiting for the offender to come and apologize to them first before they forgive. Forgiveness is not dependent on apology, because the person might never come to apologize. The person might never acknowledge their wrong. The person, in short, some of them will even come and apologize, and you will see that it doesn't even make a difference. You are still hurt, right? And then sometimes the person comes to apologize, and you can tell that this apology is not even genuine. It's not genuine. In fact, you start feeling worse now that they came to apologize, because before they came to apologize, you had that your anger was that, why did they hurt me so much? And they are not acknowledging the pain that they caused me. But now that they've apologized, it's before they gave you a reason to hate them when they didn't apologize. But now that they've apologized, you suddenly realize that you are still hurt. So forgiveness is not dependent on apologies. Apologies are helpful. They can help, to kickstart your healing. They can help to make your heart soften. But then don't depend. Forgiveness don't depend on apology. The person might never come to apologize. The apology may not be genuine. So decide that you're going to forgive. Don't wait to feel. Here, I'm seeing your comments. I acknowledge them. Don't wait to feel like forgiving before you do. No, just decide and let your feelings catch up later. Number three, pray. Pray. I know you've been praying, you know. A lot of times when we talk about prayer, it has even been preached on several altars, when they say, oh, pray for your enemies. And then they go on to say, but the Bible doesn't say what prayer points to pray for your enemies. Now, if we are honest, we understand what Jesus was saying when he said, pray for your enemies. He wasn't talking about pray so that fire will fall on their head. No, that's not the prayer Jesus meant. Yes, it doesn't spell in the Bible that, oh, this is the prayer, but we know the context in which Christ said to pray for our enemies. All right. So now I know that, because you've been hurt, your prayer has been against your offender, right? Your prayer has been about them. But now that I'm saying pray, I'm talking about you. Your prayer now is about you. Yeah. So I need you to understand that forgiveness is first about you. It's a misconception to think that forgiveness is first about the other person. No, it's about you first. Yeah, it's about you first. You are the one that wants to be free. You are the one that wants to have your peace, your joy back. You are the one that wants to love yourself again. You are the one that wants to heal. So it is first about you and not the other person. David Ricky, thank you for joining this live. So, what are the things you are going to pray about? You are going to pray for strength, because you cannot, like I said in the beginning, it's a divine thing. You cannot forgive in your own strength. You cannot forgive in the flesh. Except the hurt wasn't really deep. There are things that people will just do, trivial things, and we don't even need to think twice to forgive them. But if someone hurt us deeply, it's not going to be easy to just let it go. So pray for strength, the strength to forgive. There's a misconception about forgiveness that forgiveness is weakness. It's choosing not to do anything about what was done to you. That's forgive. No, it takes great strength to forgive. It takes great courage to forgive. It's not a thing for weak people. Most of the times when we hurt people and you see them come and apologize, or anyone, apology is not for the weak. It's for somebody who has conquered their ego. It's for somebody who has said, you know what, I'm not going to allow my feelings, control me. I'm going to be in charge of my feelings. I'm not going to listen to my feelings. I'm going to listen to the word of God. It takes strength to go against something that is your primary nature. All right. So forgiveness is not weakness. You need strength. You need to pray for strength. Also, you need to ask God to heal your heart and help you forgive. You need to ask God to help you forgive that person, and also to heal your heart from the pain that they've caused you. Now, when you pray this prayer and say, oh God, help me forgive, God, heal my heart, there are two things that are going to happen. I'm speaking from my own personal experience now. Two things are going to happen. Number one, God is going to give you an understanding about forgiveness. Yeah. It's going to give you an understanding about forgiveness. You know, when the Bible says that the truth will set you free, right? There is a truth that God will reveal to you about forgiveness. There is a way you will come to understand the concept of forgiveness that will free you. That's what I mean. So when you say, God, heal my heart and help me forgive, it's not, there's no white light that's just going to shine from the sky and you hear God say, my daughter, now I have given you the grace to forgive. Nothing like that is going to happen. Okay. But I'm saying that two things will happen from my experience. I'm sharing this. Number one, God is going to give you an understanding about forgiveness. But forgiveness is not something that you are pressured to do. You know what? Much younger, and then we fight in class, and then sometimes the teacher or parents are trying to settle the dispute between us and our siblings or us and our classmates. They talk to us, they scold you, and then at the end, what do they say? They say, oh yeah, you should hug yourself to show that you are friends again, you are forgiving each other. Genuine forgiveness is not something you pressure somebody to do. You'll be surprised that even as children, then you can hug, but you're still angry at the person. It's not something you are pressured to do. It's something that requires, a deep understanding of what forgiveness is. So God will answer that your prayer to say, oh Lord, help me forgive. Oh Lord, heal my heart. God is going to give you an understanding of what forgiveness is. Number two, God is going to give you an instruction. You want to forgive? I told you it's not for the weak. Uh, God is going to give you an instruction. That instruction can be pray for the person that has offended you. I'm just saying that can be the instruction. Even if it's not the instruction, it's still one of the things you are going to pray about. You will pray for your offender. Yeah. I remember from personal experience now, I remember there was a time someone hurt me, and after a while, God, placed it in my heart to give that person something. The first time the thought came, I was like, what do you mean? Give this person? Why? Have I finished giving the people that I love, the people that, that I'm at peace with? Have I finished giving them things? Why would I give this person? Why? It didn't make sense, you know. And then after a while, I struggled with the thoughts and I said, okay, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it, you know. And then it was like God added to that instruction and said, don't just give them something like that. Make it the best. I was like, you have to be kidding me, God. Make it what? I barely agreed to do this. And you are saying I should make it the best. Like whatever I'm going to give that person, it has to be the best. It's not going to be, of course, if it was just me, I would say, whatever is not really valuable, I'll just say, she have done it just to fulfill our righteousness. God said, no, give them the best. I was like, oh my God. But then that was the understanding. You see what I said? Two things will answer that prayer: for God to help you forgive, for God to heal your heart. An instruction and an understanding. God made me honest. That was Jesus Christ, his son. God gave me his best. That's why I said forgiveness is a divine thing. You are doing something that it takes only a God to do. God told me to give that person my best at that time, and I did. And then he made me understand that this is what he did as God. If I'm his child, I need to resemble him. And so he made me give my best to somebody. That was when I understood the weight of that scripture that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. So there's going to be an understanding and there's going to be an instruction. I'll talk about this same understanding later. I will come back to it, but let's move on. All right. Now, in forgiving, you must understand that forgiveness will cost you your pride and your self respect. It will cost you the sweet satisfaction of wanting to see your offender suffer. All right. So, yeah. Now, I said, okay, pray for them. I've mentioned that before. Pray for them. You pray for your offender. I have prayed for people that have hurt me. I didn't even know what to pray. I just said, God, help this person. I can't remember what I prayed for them, but I prayed for them. Right. Yeah. So, yes, one reason why a lot of people keep going back to their pain. Recently I came to understand that, I used to feel that before now I had an issue forgiving people. I had an issue with forgiveness. That's what I thought. But I came to understand that that's not the case, really. I have an issue forgetting. That's where the issue is. Please understand me. I said before now, I used to think of myself as someone who had issues forgiving people. I thought forgiveness, the action of forgiveness itself, was what I was struggling with. But I have come to realize that that's not the struggle. The struggle, oh, as I'm saying the struggle now, I'm remembering something. That TikTok sound, the struggle. I just remember that because I mentioned the struggle. So I have come to realize that it's not the forgiveness that's the issue, it's forgetting. I'm this kind of person. I remember in the first video I made, episode 6, I said some of us, because we love deeply, we feel things deeply, right? So when it's a good feeling, we feel it deeply. When it's a hurtful feeling, a painful feeling, a bad feeling, a sad feeling, it's the same way we feel it deeply. So someone like me, when I hurt, it's deep for me. It's hard to forget it. It's like something that I just sit down, remember, and I'm reliving it again. That's where I figured out that, oh, this is the problem. If I can forget in quotes now, I will explain that forget. If I can forget this incident, I can let go of this thing. If I can forget how this thing made me feel, I can let go of this thing, right? So a lot of people, they keep going back to their pain, not because forgiveness as an action is hard, but because of the state of their heart. They are just people that, they find it hard to let go of experiences. It's hard to put those experiences behind them. But what do a lot of us do? We condemn such people. Them, don't mind that person. They don't know how to forgive. They don't know how to forgive. There are people, yes, and I thank God for such people. People who, they easily move on with life. Something happens, 2 3 months they cry, they've moved on. But for some people it takes a long time to recover. You see those people that it takes them a long time to recover, many of them are the ones that will struggle with, letting go. It's not like they cannot forgive, but they just, that experience is like they hold on to it. So that's one of the things I came to realize. And so I said, okay, if this is the problem, then I need to forget, in quotes. When I say forget, I don't mean it's not in your memory, but even when you remember, you're not reliving that moment again. Yes, it can hurt. It can still hurt. This is 10 years later, 20 years later, you remember this incident, it can hurt, but you're not holding on to it anymore. You're not holding it against the offender anymore. That's what it means to forget. So I saw that, okay, this is where the problem is. I need to stop holding on to things. I need to, easily let go of experiences. In that way, it will be easy to forgive. So I only said that for you to check yourself as a person. Are you that kind of person? Are you that kind of person that it's difficult for you to let go of experiences? That could be the problem, or that is the problem why it looks like you are finding it hard to forgive. You're not someone who is, who find it difficult to forgive. That may not be the problem. What you are struggling with is letting go. That's the problem. All right. Now, how do I forgive? Is this number four? All right. Number four, I guess, is process your emotions. Process your emotions. There are two things that happens with any emotion that we feel. As human beings, we are like thermostats. You put a thermostat in any atmosphere or on a body, it gives you it gives you the reading of the temperature. That's how we are as human beings. You walk into a hot room, you start sweating. You walk into a cold room, you start shivering. It's the same thing. That's how our emotions are. Somebody steps on your toes, you feel pain, and then pain triggers anger. Anger because you've been disrespected, or anger because you've been hurt. And then it's worse when the person doesn't apologize. Your anger says, no, that's not how I should be. You can't treat me like that. So we are wired, we are emotional beings. So two things happen with our emotions. Number one, they are either expressed, or number two, they are suppressed. What a lot of people do when it comes to forgiveness or unforgiveness is they suppress their emotions. I gave us an example about a man in the Bible called Absalom. Amnon, his stepbrother, raped his own sister, and for 2 whole years, he did not say anything about it. A lot of people have not moved on. A lot of people have not forgiven. They just stopped talking about the incident. They are still holding on to the pain. They are quiet about it, but they are still hurting. All right. So take time to process your emotions. When this thing happened, when this person hurt me, what did I feel? I felt angry. You know, okay. What else? Analyze your feelings. Don't just suppress it. Like we said in the beginning, don't deny it. Don't excuse it. Take time to feel it. Analyze your feelings. Process your feelings. You know, um, when you process your emotions, your feelings, you now know better how to express it. I was talking about anger, that anger is not a bad feeling. It's just that a lot of times we don't process anger. We just, the moment we feel angry, we just express it. And most times, because we did not process it first, whatever action we take in that moment is usually going to be wrong. Our anger is not wrong, but because we cannot manage it properly, it looks like anger is a bad emotion to have. And so take time to process your emotions. In the course of this offense, what were the feelings I felt? Now, you see why I said forgiveness is not for the weak. See all the mental, spiritual, emotional work that you have to do. It's easier to stay angry at somebody than to now say, okay, what are the feelings I felt? That's work. That's work. Than to sit, I will sit down and start dissecting my feelings. What did I feel? When this person insulted me in public, what did I, okay, it affected my self-esteem. Oh, I felt this, I felt that. Take time to process your feelings so that if need be that you need to even talk to this person, you can talk to the person about how that incident made you feel. Oh, when you talked to me, you made me feel, you made me feel. It's better to articulate your feelings. I actually learned that from my husband, right? He's this kind of person that before he has a meeting with someone, he will take his time to, put down what he wants to say so that he doesn't just speak out of what's the word now? I like a word to qualify what I'm going to say, but you get it. He doesn't just speak and speak. He outlines what he wants to say. This is what I want to say. This is the message I want to pass across. So take time to process your emotions. Don't suppress your emotions. Process them, then express them. You express them in communication. I used to be someone, you offend me. I don't express I just suppress it and I withdraw from you. You just suddenly realize that, oh, you were talking to me and I didn't really answer, or you were greeting me, I didn't say anything. Mentally, I've detached myself. I just say, this person, look at what they did to I just move on, I just cut away. But that's not a great thing to do. If people treated you like that, you won't like it. Yeah, you won't like it. So it's now that I'm learning to be confrontational. I'm learning to say, okay, let's sit down and talk about this thing that you did. Why did you do that to me? And then you give the person the chance or the opportunity to explain, to apologize. All right. So let's remember to process our feelings. Also, in forgiveness, how do I forgive? Set boundaries if necessary. And a lot of times, the boundaries are necessary. Now, there's a misconception about forgiveness. A lot of times, people think forgiveness is equals to reconciliation. Reconciliation means however things were between us before, to show that I've forgiven you, I what's the word now? Um we go back to being like that. Before the fallout happened, how were we? Okay, let's go back to being like that. That is reconciliation. Now, reconciliation is different from forgiveness. You can forgive somebody and you do not desire to bring back that person or bring back the access that person had to you the same way. I'm going to tell us a story. There was this story I saw on social media. Once this live gets to about 40 minutes, I'm going to end it and probably start another one to conclude. There was this story I saw on social media about a woman. She employed, I think it was a gardener or a driver or something. And then this man killed the employer. That's the woman that employed him, his madam. Killed her inside our own house. Are you getting it? And then he was taken to prison. Guess what? The daughter of this woman, she learned about the passing of her mother, learned that, oh, it was this driver or gardener that killed the mother and all of that. She was hot for a while, but after a while, as a believer, she started to visit him in prison, and all of that. And then after a while, the man served his time. He came out. And of course, as an ex convict, it's very, very difficult to get a job. So, you know what this lady did, right? She employed this same man to come and work in that same house. So she was not the one living in her mother's house. She employed the man to, you used to be the gardener before, you used to be the driver before, to show that I've forgiven you. Come and work again for me. You worked for my mom, you killed my mom, but come and work for me this time. Guess what? This same man killed this daughter, the daughter of the woman he killed her in that same house. What am I trying to say? You can forgive somebody, but you can restrict or put some boundaries, some measures in place to the access that they have to you. Somebody tried to, there was this girl too, I think a story I saw online, this anonymous message or whatever. Before now, I hate that. You see that anonymous message. If not for Project 11, I would never use that thing because I believe that it gives people the opportunity to send you messages that they don't have the full chest to send you. They don't have the boldness to tell you those things. But when there's anonymous link, aha, they go right there and say whatever it is in their mind, believing that there's no consequence. You know, Somebody sent her an anonymous message and said, "We tried to poison you before, or I tried to poison you before, it didn't work. Your birthday that's coming up again, I'm going to poison you, and this time it will work." Something like that. Really, the person poisoned her and she died. What am I trying to say? Somebody has shown you that, they don't like you, or their attitude towards you is funny, is questionable. But you are the one that wants to prove that, yes, because I'm a good person, I know how to forgive. You forgive and you still grant that person the same access, the same level of trust. Just because, see, you can forgive people and you must set boundaries in place. That's my point. Forgiveness does not mean foolishness. Forgiveness does not also, it doesn't mean reconciliate. Reconcile. Forgive somebody and love them from afar. Why? Because repeatedly they have shown that there's something about you they don't like, or you've tried to please them, you've tried to be friends with them, it's not working. Put a boundary in place. Take some measures, okay? So set boundaries if necessary. We're talking about practicals now. How to forgive, the dynamics of forgiveness. You are forgiving this person, but protect yourself, protect your family, right? Don't give them that same level of trust, that same level of access. That's the word, not trust now. Access. Because it can happen again. They can, the plan did not go as planned the other time. They've learned from their mistakes. They can strike again. So restrict or reduce the access that you give that person. It's wisdom. It's not a weakness. It's wisdom. Don't come and try and prove that I've forgiven you to show I've forgiven you. You that tried to poison me before, go and bring food for me. No, no. All right, how do I forgive? The practicals, the dynamics of forgiveness. Partner with God to find your way back to who you were. One thing about unforgiveness is that it changes you into this bitter person. It changes you into this person that everybody looks at you and feels that you're a sadist or something. This morning I put on my Facebook how we were transferred to a new parish. When we got there was this sister that we met in the parish. You know, for some reason she was keeping to herself. She doesn't smile and all of that. Initially I thought I was the only one that noticed it. And after a while, my husband said, this person doesn't smile, doesn't really interact. I don't know what the problem is. I was like, oh, I thought I was the only one that noticed. We talked about it and we're like, we don't know what the problem is. But then I felt like, okay, I'll try my best, talk to her and all of that. But as time went on, there was a day she came out and she shared a testimony in church. And she said, after so and so months or years, that she's finally free to be herself again, that she's so glad to have her joy back, her peace back. What was the problem? She lost her dad. And, after losing her dad, that experience just, it robbed her of her joy. Now, I remember one time my husband was preaching about forgiveness. And he said there are three categories of people to forgive. Number one, he said, forgive God. That's a whole topic for another day. Forgive God. A lot of people, when we talk about forgiveness, unforgiveness, their forgiveness and unforgiveness is not about people. It's not with, they don't have issues with people. Their issue is with God. They prayed, they fasted that that person should not die. The person still died. This was the case of person, I believe. She prayed for her that when the dad died, it looked as if, so God, what's the point? And then she was, I think for some time, she said she was not even going to church. She didn't want to hear anything about God. And then even when she finally said, okay, I'm going to come to church, she was just like, let me just go to church so that it doesn't look like I don't go to church. But that day she shared her testimony and was like, she has been delivered from that pain, from that bitterness. What am I trying to say? When walking or the dynamics of forgiveness will require you to find yourself again, to partner with God, to find yourself again, to become that. You need to sit down and ask yourself, so who was I before this experience? This experience that changed me into this bitter person. Who was I before this thing happened? You have to find your joy again. You have to find your peace again. And then a misconception to think that forgiveness is instant or forgiveness is easy. It's not. Forgiveness is not instant. Like I said in episode 6 or so, it's not an event, it's a journey. It's not an event, it's not a one time action. No, it's a journey. Because every time you remember, you need to forgive. It's something that you keep doing over and over. Every time you remember the pain, every time the enemy brings that memory to your heart, you say, I forgive this person. You forgive again and again. All right. It's also a misconception to think that just because you've forgiven somebody, the pain will not come or you will not hurt again. No, there are certain things that would trigger. You can be watching a movie that reminds you of something that happened in the past, and you feel that pain all over again. In that moment, just tell yourself, Lord, help me. Lord, help me. I forgive this person. I'm not holding this feeling against them. Yes, I'm hurt, but I'm not holding this grudge. I'm not holding this offense against them anymore. It's something you keep repeating. That unpleasant memory comes, you keep repeating. And then lastly, these are not all about forgiveness, but I'm just going to peg it here. You must learn forbearance. I was watching a clip about I think yes, Apostle Joshua Selman. He was one that mentioned this point. Forbearance. He said forbearance is when you he explained it that it is creating a system, all right? Creating a system that protects you from a person that perpetually hurts you, something along that line. But what do I mean by that? You see, there are people that in this journey of life, or especially when they are close people, maybe family, maybe friends, people that you cannot just cut off like that. You must learn forbearance. Forbearance is you will tell yourself that this is how this person is. They might change, they might not change, but this is the reality of who they are. They talk too much. This is who they are. They are not tidy. This is who they are. You see that thing that always makes you offended about that person. Forbearance will tell you, this is who this person is. Rather than get yourself worked up over somebody else's bad behavior, over somebody else's flaws, imperfections, you create a system. There, when you hear about, oh, this person has done this, you just tell yourself, that's them. I'm not going to bother my head about it. This person, this is them. This is who they are. I'm not going to kill myself over that. Forbearance. You create a system that protects your peace, protects your heart, protects your joy against something that a person perpetually does. It doesn't look like they are going to change anytime soon. So instead of you to change, because that's against something somebody is doing to us. Instead of you to is crazy, the person that everybody thinks is making up, just say, you know what, this thing is not worth my peace of mind, is not worth my joy. I'm going to hold on to my joy. I'm going to hold on to my peace. I'm going to hold on to my sanity. Let this person keep being who they are. Create a system that protects your heart from their hurts. This person, this is just create a system for a while. Create a system that just protects your heart from perpetual hurt. So these are some of the practical steps to forgive. There was someone that hurt me one time. When I'm talking about this, someone that hurt me, it looks like as if, do people hurt you a lot?